Great morning for hiking. I'm going to hit a trail. I'm at the parking area. They use this for staging up snowmobiles and for skiing. And yeah, beautiful morning. It's about 28 degrees out, so I got gloves and some warm gear in my pack. And I'll catch up with you a little later on the trail. This is called the Silver Creek Trail, but it ends up being more of a road hike, which is fine with me. It's sand and that's easier on your feet. But this trail is shared, I'm guessing, with a logging road and an ATV trail. In the wintertime, they use it for skiing and snowmobiling. This is why it's called the Silver Creek hiking area. The water flows literally right out of that rock and creates a river. It's pretty neat. Continuing on my hike, it's really a gorgeous morning, but I forgot a couple basics. I had washed my backpack, taken everything out, and I don't have toilet paper. Not a big deal, except that my nose is running, and that would be helpful right now to wipe my nose. And the other thing is that I just don't have a couple of the normal things, safety things I carry with me. But check these views. The sun's just starting to come up, and we're still at this point following a county road, but it's beautiful. 2.5 miles in, and I made a little adjustment, taking my coat off. I guess you could adjust your pace down, but I'd like to crank out 10 miles. So I'm not going like a crazy pace, between 17 and 18 minute miles, but just fast enough that it's making me sweat. I just saw a deer, and it'll be my third one that I've seen in 2.5 miles. Kind of cool. It's very quiet out. Turn it around so you can see it. As you can tell, it's pretty wooded, and this is a snowmobile trail in the winter. There's a little bit of a water hazard right here on the trail, but that's because this swamp here is full and actually has an outlet and an inlet for it. I am at about mile 4.5 of what's going to be a 10 mile, so it's 5 out and back. And from mile 4 to mile 6 are going to be just total garbage because of the amount of water on this snowmobile trail. This is a seasonal trail. Right now, the last half mile's been totally underwater. Well, I am back into the water feature portion of this trail. Coming back, I went ahead and did like 5.1 miles and then turned around. So back to the juicy part. I was hoping to keep my feet dry, but not possible today. One of the basic principles of hiking, backpacking, is something called hike your own hike. You'll often see that as a hashtag, or maybe you'll see the HYOH, those letters that stand for hike your own hike. Well, what does that mean? It means something different for every individual, but I'd like to talk about that just a little bit while we're making some miles here. Hike your own hike means that you hike your style of hike. You hike at the rate you want to hike, the kind of hiking that you like to hike, and all of these things you do in a way that is in keeping with what you enjoy and what hiking is to you. Different individuals hike at different speeds. Some people hike different areas because it's what they like. I enjoy hiking in the winter, and shared that with some folks on trail, and to some individuals that's just the absolute worst kind of hiking and they'd never want to do that, but I enjoy it. So hike your own hike means that you hike the way you like to hike. This really came front and center when I was at the chairback shelter. And there was a comment made about a guy who had a very large sleeping pad. I mean, it was like oversized. And one of the other folks in that shelter looked over and said this: "What does it matter to you? You don't have to carry it." And that is in keeping with that hike your own hike. Just like Mullet Head, he had a very large pot that he liked to cook his meals in. And at that point, he had carried that pot for over 2,000 miles. That's what he enjoyed. So hike your own hike relates to your equipment, whether you carry a lot of stuff or you like to pare it down to hyperlight. Some people like to hammock. Some people like to tent camp. Others, they try to do shelters only. All of this matters on what you like to do. Some people like to hike in a group. Other people like to hike solo. So hike your own hike means you hike at your own pace. You hike with the equipment you like to hike, the time of the year you like to hike, and the kind of trails that you like to hike. This trail today is not super exciting. It's basically a logging road, or we would call it a county road, and a portion of it shares with a snowmobile trail, but it's hiking nonetheless. And some folks say, well, I'd never do that. I'm kind of freewheely today, just using my all trails to keep track of the route I'm taking, but I'm not really following a prescribed path. Just a little adventure, I guess. But that all falls into that hike your own hike. And I hope when you get on the trail that you enjoy hiking and that you're secure enough or comfortable enough in the kind of hiking that you like to do, that you won't allow a preconceived idea to form the kind of hiking you do. Maybe you try something, you say, you know, that wasn't my favorite, and you do a different kind of hiking. Or you say, you know, I like day hiking, but I would never overnight tent camp, which I had not done until I went to trail, but I really enjoyed it. So hike your own hike means just do the kind of hiking that you enjoy. The goal is for you to be on trail. And I want you to remember when you're hiking and you're enjoying your kind of hiking, that somebody else may enjoy a different kind of hiking on the same level that you enjoy the kind of hiking that you like to do. Just some thoughts about hike your own hike. Thank you so much for joining me on this hike. It took me a couple weeks to find time to put it all together. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and we'll continue to hike together.